Hello everybody and welcome back to RainBro Crafts. My name is Colton and today I will be making for you the third soap in our Pride 2025 collection. This soap is inspired by the song Perfect Illusion by the Lady Gaga album Joanne, and it is scented with a delicious blend of some pear and some other juicy, fruity, summery fruits. So stay tuned and watch us make this soap inspired by Perfect Illusion. Alrighty, let's get this Perfect Illusion soap started. So, like I mentioned in the intro, this is our selection for the Joanne album, and we picked the song Perfect Illusion to kind of go along with that alliteration. We utilized two different pear fragrance oils, both from Bramble Berry, that paired, pun intended, really well together. This is our yellow soap as well, so we were trying to pick a fragrance that kind of was giving like a goldeny, yellowy vibe, and also the album was giving a goldeny, yellowy vibe because on the album cover, Lady Gaga's wearing a pink cowboy hat and then has blonde hair, so yellow and blonde, kind of a really rough connection there. So we're going to add that fragrance blend. This is Pear Pop and Pear Prosecco. Like I said, both from Bramble Berry. They combined have notes of pear, rhubarb, green apple, pineapple. There's also some light florals, some fresh woods, including some cherry wood, and also a little hint of some vanilla malt. So that vanilla base note really kind of rounds out this fragrance and it kind of grounds it, but it doesn't discolor the soap batter, which is really nice because usually vanilla scented things will discolor your products to brown. Regardless of what you do, eventually they will turn brown, which is okay, but that was not the vibe for this. If you have been watching this series, our goal for the whole collection was to do one specific soap making technique and to have the colors just be one single color in an uncolored soap base background. And that meant that we did not select fragrance oils that discolored, or we tried not to. There's a naughty behavior later on in this collection, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. So for a good drop swirl, which is kind of like our signature technique, you want to make sure that your soap batter is really fluid, but you also want to make sure it has come to a trace because we don't want a false trace to happen. The key here is to make sure that your batters are a good temperature, you're not soaping too hot, and you're not using floral fragrances because generally speaking, those will make your soap batter kick faster than anything else, and that was not what we were wanting. Both of these fragrances played beautifully with this soap batter, which is amazing. For the color, we used just a straight up yellow mica, that's the name. But we wanted it to be a little more rich and luxurious, so Zac added a teeny tiny amount of turmeric, which is where this orangey color comes from. And you know I'm obsessed with turmeric as a colorant because of this beautiful color that it turns the soap batter. But it will discolor back to a more goldeny yellow color and not be quite so orange, so do keep that in mind. I love this specific color, but we were going for a yellow color, so we did keep that in mind when we were using this, so use it very sparingly. It also kind of adds some little speckles to the soap batter, which is a nice kind of like addition to the soap. It's not really like an exfoliant though. It might make it a teeny tiny bit rougher than a normal soap bar, but really it just looks a little speckly, which is kind of pretty, especially on a lighter backgrounded soap like this one. So Zac just went in and did 3 drops from front to back, basically in the middle of where our slabs will be when we break this, or our loaves will be when we break down this slab, and then is going in and scraping out that Cambro to get out all of that soap batter. We also like to do this because usually if your soap batters are behaving properly, there's not a ton of the colored soap batter that you're dropping into the rest of the soap batter left on top. It usually all sinks kind of down and then out. So we want to kind of reference that internal color by scraping out that container and drizzling it over the top. So he did that, and then he took this slab off screen and kind of tapped it on the ground to get out any bubbles that may have occurred. Sometimes that happens, especially when your soap batter's getting thicker. Wasn't really an issue here, but it does also help kind of even everything out a little bit, which is really useful, especially if you want everything nice and level. We then will go in with our trusty bar spoon and just do a classic spoon swoop. This is a tried and true method for us. We love it. It's impactful, but it's also easy. It looks more impressive than what it actually is. So definitely keep this in your soaping arsenal if you make soap, because people always comment on this, and to us it seems simple, but to other people it looks really impressive, and we love that. Why work harder when you can work smarter? And then one final step to add a little bit of glitz, a little bit of like rhinestone to the top of this pear scented soap, is we are going in with some Gold Enigma mica that is kind of mixed with a little of Ultra Sparkle white mica. And you can't really see it on camera here because of the lighting, but it is there. It just adds a nice kind of shimmer to the top of the soap, specifically in that area that we kind of smushed the soap batter to, which will be one side of the top of the soap bar. Once we have put on that Ultra Sparkle mica and Gold Enigma mica, and you can kind of see it from this angle actually, now that the soap has kind of set up a little bit. It's really, really pretty. We will unmold and we will break down this slab into loaves. We are trying out a couple different camera angles for the soap slicing in particular, so put your preference down in the comment section down below. Myself and Zac kind of split up making these soaps, so half of them are kind of this way and half of them are like the videos I posted last week, the Mayhem soap, and also the, it's gonna come to me, the Fame Monster Bad Romance video, and I'll put cards up in the corner for both of those if you haven't watched those. Once that slab is broken down, we will break out Dorothy and we will slice this up, and we can see those beautiful drop swirls. And you can also see that the turmeric colored soap batter did mellow out quite a lot. And you also could see a few of those little speckles that I personally like to see in a soap. It just looks a little more handmade and not quite so like manufactured, if that makes sense. So I asked it last week and I will ask it again this week. What is your favorite song from this album, from the Lady Gaga album Joanne? I would say mine is probably Perfect Illusion, which is why we picked that song for this collection, but I'm curious to hear your all selections down in the comment section below. But that is it. This is our Joanne Perfect Illusion soap, which will be for sale starting June 1st, online and in person, and it is part of our Pride 2025 collection titled Gaga for Gaga, and I do think that these will go really, really quickly, specifically this one, because pear is one of those super tasty scents that everyone always likes. I want to give a huge shout out to our subscribers. They get soaps, candles, bath bombs each and every month from us. If you're interested in joining them, check out our website, RainBroCrafts.com. for details on how to join. We really appreciate them, and we send them lots of goodies as a show of appreciation. It is not too late to sign up to get part of our Pride collection as your June subscription. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below your favorite Lady Gaga song, also ring that bell icon and subscribe so you get notified when we release new videos. Thanks. Bye.